studying business, accounting, there was only girls. Hated it completely. When I came across UFOs or aliens, I was so fascinated by that. Did I get myself in troubles? All the time. Because I was always with boys and I was always with fights. I always felt like I have big dreams and I have big imagination, and all of this imagination, basically, everything is coming true because there is still some dreams I had and I didn't achieve it yet, but it is here. It is just a question of time when that's gonna happen. I grew up in the small village in Kostolné, which is about 200 people living in there. It's a small village in Slovakia. That's kind of place, I was surrounded by nature, and everywhere you need car to access, even if you want to buy food. There's literally nothing except one crossroad. One half we have little grocery store, and there was one church, and that was all the activities people pretty much had. But my childhood was nice. I was always out in the nature. So, my early age, I was thinking about myself. I'm a native Indian. So I was running naked around the fields and we were playing all of these games. It was so much fun. And because I was such a tomboy, I used to play soccer on my brother's registration card. I think we had it a little bit switched because everybody called me his name, called me either Rado or Ivan, which is male name for Ivana. And my brother, he was completely opposite of me. He likes to cook, he likes to stay at home and doing kind of like homeworks, usually what girls do. And I was right opposite. I was playing with cars, I was playing soccer, I was always in some fights. So this was my childhood. I was very curious kid. I liked to play a lot. Although I grew up with my parents who I believe they loved me very much, but they were so strict. I always had to have a certain time when I have to be at home. It could be 6 p.m., it could be 8 p.m. while other kids were playing. And I was such a brat when I was little. I was just a little punk. I always did what I wanted to do. But in the good way. Did I get myself in troubles? All the time. Because I was always with boys and I was always with fights. The most beautiful memories from my childhood was definitely my friendships. I remember that, and just be in nature all the time. I used to know all of the plants, all of the herbs. I used to pick up mushrooms. So all the beautiful memories I have, playing with other kids, playing soccer, and definitely my grandmas. I used to love my grandparents. My one grandma is still alive. She's 85 years old right now, and she's so cute. My other one passed away when I was 18 years old. But there is no day in my life when I don't think about her. I know I love her so much that she's completely engraved in me. Like her energy I still carry with me every single day. My grandmother, her name was Anna, the one who passed away. She gave me the love I was always looking for as a child. Because she made me feel I'm so unique. She made me feel so loved. She adored me. So if I can put it in one sentence, I would say my grandmother, Anna, absolutely adored me. There was nothing I can do wrong. She loved everything about me. So this was really beautiful for me because when we're dealing with parents, and I know everybody's trying so hard and everybody's doing their best, but there was some things which I would be looking for in my parents and I didn't get it. So the love I was desired and the love I was looking for, I definitely got from my grandma. My parents, I would say, was typical middle class. I would never say that we were poor, but as a child, I never felt that I'm missing something when it comes to abundance. I don't even think about these things, of course, because as little, all I want to have is fun. I want to laugh, I want to play, so this was my priorities in my life. My parents definitely tried their best and gave me everything what I needed that time. But it was really interesting since I was little. When I was a child, I always knew I'm an artist. I used to draw a lot. That time, actually, I think my inspiration came from Walt Disney characters. I used to draw almost every day, like Mickey Mouse and Pluto Dog and Chip and Dale and all of these things. That's how it started. And then I figured it out, actually, that I love to do everything artistic, whether it's sewing, whether it's doing statues, whether it's carving. Everything when it comes to art, I loved it so much because I had ADHD as a kid and I was so much for everybody, I think. I had just too much energy and I was all over the place. And I think art really was saving me in that sense because that was the only place when I felt calm and I felt I'm in my world. That was the world I understood when I was deep in my art. And not only did I felt as an artist, because as a child I felt completely free and I felt like everything. This was the good thing actually, I remember now when I compare my life, that I was thinking so big. Just imagine the situation, I'm from little village when there's absolutely nothing. We have one crossroad there, maybe 200 people all over the place. All of the people were pretty much right about to die. So this was the situation. And I always was dreaming, I'm like, I'm an artist, world famous, everybody knows me. I'm doing some really great things for planet and I'm going to be known, I'm going to be successful, and I always saw myself that I'm going to be artist and living in Hollywood. Did I know what is Hollywood? Absolutely not. So this was like now when I look back at it, but I was so in it. I believe it wholeheartedly. There is not one doubt that I had some sort of limitations in my head that I cannot do it, because for me everything was possible. And many times actually people ask me now, it's like, how is it possible that you come from a little village when there's nothing in the middle of nowhere in Slovakia and you had this way of thinking? Actually, you know what, I was thinking about it myself, I don't know. But I always did. I always had these big visions in my head because I think my perception of life was maybe somehow different like majority of people. I always felt like I have big dreams and I have big imagination, and all of this imagination basically everything is coming true because there is still some dreams I had and I didn't achieve it yet, but it is here. It is just a question of time when that's gonna happen. When I was 5 years old, I remember my grandma Anna, because we used to live in the same house. I pretty much grew up with her. That was like my second mom. She taught me how to write and how to read, especially, most importantly. So when I was 5 years old, before I went to school, I was already reading the books. And my first book I read, I remember it was about this bunny and he was traveling all around the world. And me as a child, because I can completely see myself, I'm like this bunny and I just wanted to travel all around the world. And this was, by the way, one of my biggest visions, one of my biggest dreams and visualization, which came true later on because that was my first book I came across and I could read for myself. So this bunny was traveling all around the world and I was always imagining, I'm like, when I'm going to be older and I will grow up, I'm going to be traveling all over the world, which of course happened. I was so curious. I remember that from then on, when I started reading a little bit of these children books, later on, I was maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. I already started to, of course, studying encyclopedias. I used to start to read books about United States, China, I remember, Egyptology, because I was so curious and I was so fascinating. Another thing what absolutely fascinated me, I remember I'm still fascinated by that, but as a child, I guess every kid is like that because kids are so connected. And because I grew up in nature, I was so connected. I was absolutely fascinated by universe, by spirituality. That was very interesting actually when I look back now, because it's not like I do not believe in God, but I had completely different imagination what God means, because God for me was everything. And this was somehow hard to explain to somebody like my parents or to my grandma who is religious and goes to church every Sunday. Kind of could have a little bit of argument, but it wasn't, because I was always so free, even the way I was thinking. Even with my thoughts, I was so free. And I love that about myself. I like that I was so curious. I'm still the same. And the interesting stuff is that now when I'm becoming older, I feel I'm going backwards exactly because I love when I was so pure, when I was looking on the world with these children eyes and I had all of this imagination and I was just so innocent for this world. I love that. So when I was studying all of these books, this encyclopedia and Egyptology and all of these books about universe, about spirituality, I was just so attracted to it. I also had the books about that first, that was like, I'm literally talking about like 35 years ago or more. When I came across UFOs or aliens, I was so fascinated by that. But it is so funny because I felt that is so real. I never forget these books I read, never. For me, it's so engraved in my brain. When I was later on, actually, when I was older, when I was going to high school, I was 15 years old and we had Egyptology on my class, like in the history. I always went in the front of the class and I was telling all of these stories to people, and even my teacher, she was always listening. She's like, Ivana, do you want to come here and talk about it? I'm like, absolutely. Did I care about my school? Of course not, but this was definitely a topic I knew about a lot and I really enjoyed it. Based on these books, when I was, reading this encyclopedia and these wonders of the world and all of these books about universe and how it works and about the aliens, I was so fascinated by that I actually wanted to become astrologist and archaeologist. I never forget the first day when I was going to after kindergarten to the primary school. Oh, fun fact about me, I don't wear skirts. Even when I was kindergarten and everybody wanted to take pictures and they were always separating girls, boys and all of these beautiful pictures, I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Like I say, I was tomboy. So that's just fun fact about me. I just don't wear skirts. Never did. I never forget the first day when I was having my backpack and I was going to school because I was so excited. I was so excited because I already knew everything. I could read, I could write. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do in school, but that's gonna be fun because I had all of my friends there. I was going to primary school in Kostolné, in my little village. It was really beautiful actually because it was about 30 children maybe. We were always playing and it was just so cute. My first year in primary school went just this. Did I learn anything? Yes, I'm sure, just to progress more about, we had this book called Slavikar. I was learning more about how to properly, to do all of this writing and the grammar and all of this stuff. But the first year was so easy for me. The second year was so easy for me. But interesting stuff what I remember, when I was going to second grade, so I'm talking about now I was, let's say, 7 years old. Every time I got some sweets from somebody, and especially chewing gums, I don't know why I was so hooked up on chewing gums, I used to collect them. And when I had about, let's say, 100 pieces, I brought it, I had it in the little box. So I brought it to school. And when we had school breaks, I was always saying everybody, who wants to buy chewing gums? So I started selling chewing gums. Of course, I always sold all of them. So since the early age, maybe when I was 7, I already started making money. This was my thing. I always had more money than any of my friends because I was always selling something. So first it was chewing gums, then it was sweets. When I was 10 years old, my father went to work in Africa. So he was bringing more goodies from Africa, which was super exotic in Slovakia. So you should see my sales by then. My sales increased and my portfolio was broader. I was selling dates, I was selling olives, I was selling seashells because he brought me seashells. Nobody in my class saw seashells before, maybe in the TV or on the pictures, and I was selling them, so you can only imagine. Amazing quality I noticed about myself when I was younger was that I was always leader. I just had really problem to listen to other people because I already had it very clear in my life that the only person who I'm going to listen is me and myself. Because I knew exactly what I want. I always knew it. Like you can ask anybody, like, of course, children want lots of things. I wanted things in life, like big things, people don't even think about it. I had it very clear. I created gang, basically. All of the boys, of course, I was the only girl. I was leader, and they had to give me their blood. And it was so ridiculous because they were so scared to do it. And I took a needle, I pinched myself, I put the blood. I had this little, like a notebook. We had the names there and everybody had to put the blood there. And who was scared, so I took their hands and poked them. So I'm like, you have to give blood. You want to be in my gang, you're giving me your blood. So that was kind of like a sign like they are really devoted to me and they are not going to be changing the gangs. Once they have even a gang, that's it. That was it for them. They cannot change now from my gang to go somewhere else. And you have to do everything what I tell you. Because of course there was rules in my gang. When I was becoming older, now I'm talking about age 10, 11, 12, I was such a brat. I was completely punk. Every day I was fighting. Guys, of course, only the guys. I was the best fighter in my village or in the school. Nobody fucked with me, nobody. Like, when you see Ivana, step away. This was literally, that was me, completely. Girls were scared of me. I don't know why though, because I always liked them, but they were scared. I think I was watching too many action movies because my idols was like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was thinking I'm him actually. I even called myself Ivana Van Damme at some point. Then I also found Cynthia Rotrog or something like that. I don't remember her name exactly, but I know her name was Cynthia. She was also a female version of like Jean-Claude Van Damme. So they were doing this kung fu and martial arts, and that's exactly what I was practicing. I'm like, oh, I love this. So besides playing football, I was fighting every day. But I have all of this fantasy because I was thinking like, oh yeah, like I'm an artist, this is what I can do. Like there wasn't for me any limitations. Whatever I wanted to do or whatever I wanted to do, I always did. So this was amazing because who can tell me what? Even though when I was fighting and I was always in trouble, even with like police, because I was always in probably like on the wrong place in the wrong time. But I wasn't doing like super bad things or anything, but still I was just really much, you know, you don't want to have this kind of kid because it's like you have to have eyes on your back, always something. You don't watch me for 1 second, something's gonna get down. And this was on every single day. This was on everyday basis of my parents. Every day was something. So you can only imagine, right? Now it's funny, of course, you know, but before it was, I remember my mom, one time she used to write it down every day. She had this notebook and every day she was writing when I was doing bad. Of course not good, but everything bad what happened, what I did, she was writing it down. I think when I was about, I would say 12 years old, something like that, I started to go for karate, which I really, really enjoy. I had such a great time there and I think it was really good discipline for me, really good exercise, which helped my ADHD. It was really nice for me. And I started to go for competitions. And I never forget the first competition. I think that's where my mindset comes from also. So the first competition I remember, I went there and straight away because I was thinking I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme. The referee said start now and I already punched my opponent, so that was so much fun. Of course I won the whole competition pretty much, and after that I was going for many competitions, which I have a beautiful memories from because I won so many of them. That was really nice for me. Another really, really profound memory I have as a kid, I would say I wasn't child anymore, but I was still a kid. I was 12 years old when teacher asked all of the kids in the school, he was like, what do you guys want to do? Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? How do you see yourself? How do you envision yourself? And lots of kids didn't know what to say. And me, 2 full pages. I'm going to be the artist. I'm going to be very successful. I'm going to make living with art. Everybody will know me. I will travel all around the world and I will live in Hollywood. No idea where the Hollywood is. I just knew it's in America, but I didn't even know what it is. I just knew it from my movies I used to watch. This was my work, okay? I tell my teacher, and I never forget when he was telling me, he's like, but Ivana, how do you imagine you're going to make a living with this? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a living, but you know, I have all of this imagination that I'm going to be, it can be anything, artist, it can be actor, it can be singer, it can be, I don't know, even doing some sport like an athlete. This was in my head exactly when I was writing that homework. And I always remember it because he didn't understand how is it possible that I have such a strong imagination about it and I was so clear and certain about it. I only actually describe how I feel inside and what I see. My really, really strong point until today is my visualization, and that always was. I think it's my number one. That's why I always manifest and I always attract in my life whatever I want. Whether it's physical things or non-physical things, it can be experiences, it can be people, it can be things I want. I always attract in my life wherever I want. Whatever I create in my head, basically, I will attract it in my life. Look at me now. I'm 43 years old, almost. I'm living in Hollywood. I'm a world-known artist. In fact, I'm the first and only woman in the world whose tattoos are certified as contemporary fine art. And I'm living my dream. I'm making my living by art, exactly what I was always dreaming about. And I have a beautiful life. I have a beautiful partner. I love my life. I love what I do, and I'm very happy. Honestly, I didn't know in what form I will do this because I would be never thinking of tattooing. Tattooing came to me, which I will tell you the story how it started, but I was never thinking about it. I was always fascinated by, you know, like seeing models in magazine. I used to cut pictures because I just love beauty, whether it was fashion, whether it was art, whether it was traveling, for example, everything what was beautiful and appealing to my eye, I just like it. I was so attracted to it. I used to have so many booklets. I was cutting pictures from really like when it comes to fashion or interior design or exterior design, houses, traveling, musician, actors. It was crazy. It was crazy. I used to cut it and I still late till 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, organizing everything, cutting pictures, sticking it into my notebooks. It was crazy. Little did I know that I was creating probably my visualization boards because so many things from that happened, so many. And I will get to this later, honestly, because this is exactly when people ask me like how it all started, my manifestation, that I can talk about it. This was the first thing actually. My visualization was number one. Then I used to cut out the pictures and stick it into my notebooks, number two, because I was already creating energy about it. I was creating visualization board, and in that quietness, or what I was obsessing doing for so many hours, I was already creating my future. You know, growing up in a little village in Kostolné, you don't have much choices when it comes to high school. So when I was about, I think I was 14 years old, but we have to make decision before. So, you know, the system works like you decide what school you want to go to, what do you want to study, and then you pretty much study 3 or 4 years, depending what you want to do. But there was nothing literally I wanted to do because firstly, I didn't have much choice. Secondly, I knew I'm an artist and I had completely different visions about what I want to do. And there was not even close into my realm that time. So then I was thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe I should be a hairdresser because at least it's creative. It was doable because there was school like this. I used to already cut at that time hair for my brother, for my neighbors. I like it because it was creative. That was my choice. But my parents, of course, stopped me because they was thinking I'm too smart to do this kind of stuff, even though I like it. I get it though, because I know the parents always want to have their children to be lawyers, to be doctors, to I don't know what else, to earn money in the future. But I don't know, I think my opinion is if I have my own kids, I would be really closely paying attention how is my kid and what my kid enjoys or what kind of exceptional quality my kid has. And my exceptional qualities was definitely creativity. That was my exceptional quality. So when my parents put me in the school, which is like business and it was like accounting and only girls, for me it was, you can just probably bury me because I didn't understand that. I couldn't understand that was again in my life when happened that I cannot fully express myself and do what I want to do because I am too young to decide for myself. I already had the problem with that in my early age because I always felt so free and I need to feel free. This is actually what I'm thinking about now, you know, and we will get there because when I was older, now actually this is the age exactly when I was 14, 15, when I was going to my high school, how things started to shuffle. Anyway, I ended up going to the business school, studying business, accounting. There was only girls, hated it completely. My teacher was so cute. I remember so many times she asked me, she's like, are you okay? Like, she was really nice. Her name was Jana Bohušová. I love her very much. She was so gentle, so cute. The most beautiful thing is after so many years, so I was 15, I'm 43 now. Month ago, she somehow found contact on me and she texted me on my WhatsApp. This is a real story, by the way. After so many years, she texts me on my WhatsApp and she's like, Ivanka, I'm so happy I finally found contact on you because now, of course, everybody knows me now. So she found contact, she texted me and she sent me such a beautiful message and she said, you always going to be my best student and I really, really love about you, but look how universe works, how you get kind of signs or you get affirmation or kind of confirmation from out of nowhere. I didn't hear about my teacher 25 years or I don't know, like I was 15, 16 when I studied there. I'm 43 now, and she sent me such a beautiful message, and I remember in that message she said, I never forget how honest, and something else I forgot the word, how honest you were. Like it was so beautiful for me to see it, and I'm like, wow, like it's true actually, because honest and authentic, that's what she said. And I was reading that to Veronica, and I'm like, hey, listen to this, like my teacher from high school sent me this beautiful message. So that was really nice for me after so many years to hear that, because maybe I don't remember exactly how I was, or not that how I was, I know how I was actually, but I do not know what perception other people have of me or what kind of impression I left on them. So this was really, really beautiful, and until today she texted me. This happened a month ago. So my teacher from my high school, she's texting me now all of these beautiful messages, sending me hearts and saying that I was her best student, I'm still going to be her student, like just really cute. It makes me happy. I'm happy that I left people with a good impression of me. I love that. So this was when I was 15. I didn't like my school at all. But anyway, somehow, of course, I did it. But what was interesting about this high school was that I always stayed true to myself. What it meant was that I drew even more. I just couldn't pay attention. I don't want to listen about numbers. I don't want to listen what number is what, how you do this. Like for me, I was so uninterested. For some reason I was a good student, but I think it's just because I'm hard on myself and everything what I do, I want to do the best. So for some reason I did the school very nice and I was a good student, but I always used to draw. This was exactly the beginning of my career now. I used to do graffiti, always scribbling, always drawing. So the teachers already, first they have problem with me, but every time they ask a question, I always knew the answer. So they just let me, I was always drawing. 4 years non-stop drawing every single day in the school. So, you know, by the time I finished the school, I'm like, boom, I was already artist. You know, I can just draw anything.